We're going to be talking about selling your art as a photographer. Do you sell it online? Do you sell it in galleries? We're going to be actually heading into town to some of the locations where I have sold my work successfully and kind of bringing you through a little bit my timeline. So sit back and let's get started. If you're new to this channel, my name is Shannon and I'm a full-time photographer in beautiful British Columbia. From soaring mountains to hidden waterfalls and elusive wildlife to stunning sunsets, I'm excited to film each step of the way. Whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply enjoy some stunning visuals, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. Oh, she's beautiful. Okay, so before I show you around town and where I sold my images, I wanted to kind of go through my timeline of how I kind of got started. So the first thing was social media, so Facebook and Instagram, and I created a business page there called Shannon Photography. Next, I started a website. It was free at the time, free website. I'll get into that. But that's what I started, and I also explored printing companies that could print my work. So I didn't start with Costco or Walmart. I actually went to a place called Island Blue, and they have professional printers and they have technicians there. So I started with them before finding what I use now, which is called the Print Lab. And I met Terry, and I'll dive a little bit more into that. But yeah, so website, then I started printing. Then I got into a coffee shop that had artists that kind of turned over every 2 weeks, I think. That was the first coffee shop. Then there was a few other ones that were like every 6 months. And then I found some coffee shops that either didn't have art on their walls, or they were new coffee shop places that were thinking about getting art on their walls, and that way I can hang up my photography for like long term, like 6 months or a year. So I did that with a couple of coffee shops. Then I updated my website and I got like an e-commerce section so I can sell online. Then I bought myself a printer. It is a professional printer, an Epson. And I had an adapter on the back so I can, print up to like 6 feet long. So I bought myself a printer, and then I started selling my work in galleries. So that's a little bit of the timeline, and now I kind of want to break that down. Now this is over the last like 12, 13 years. So to break it down, social media, or pretty much all on social media. If you aren't, wow, I want to meet you. Instagram, I created a business page called Shannon Photography, and I showcase my work there. Facebook, I have my own personal page that I'm friends with, I don't know, people I grew up with, my family's on there. But I created a business page, and that's where all my photography art goes, things that I want to sell. If I had a workshop coming up, I would put it up on my business page. That way, if you wanted to be friends with me, and I didn't know who you were, but you wanted to just follow my work, well, guess what? You could just follow my business page. Now, for some of you are thinking, it's like, well, I got my Instagram, why would I need Facebook? If you think about the majority of people who use Facebook, they're typically of maybe an older generation now. So your parents, grandparents are all on Facebook. They love sharing, and there's groups on there you can be a part of. So believe it or not, on social media, Facebook is like my #1 go-to place to sell prints, because parents and grandparents, they own homes and they have wall space. Whereas Instagram is definitely a younger audience, and most of them don't have homes and they can't even afford prints maybe for their walls. So I rarely sell on Instagram, and Instagram is saturated with other photographers. So to really be an epiphone of, to really speak out about your work, Facebook is a really great place to do that. So I encourage you to start a business page on Facebook. It's great. Now, free website. I mentioned I started that next. I don't know if Squarespace does it. It might be a free trial, but I know Weebly and Wix, they allowed you to start a free website, but their business name was in the domain name. So for me, if it was mattshannon.ca or .com, it would be www.weebly.mattshannon.ca. So that would be up there, as well as when you open up the page, down at the bottom, it would say powered by Wix or powered by Weebly. There's a lot of other bells and whistles that it doesn't have, but for the most part, you can drag and drop your images, slideshows, splash pages might be on there on the free version. It's limited, but at least it gets you started. And the cool thing is once you start updating, you're actually paying a subscription. It's not like you have to start from scratch. It just unlocks these other features, and you can develop and build your website over time. So I started a free website, and then I started printing my work. Now, friends and family, they're definitely going to be the first people that buy from you. And then you're also going to want to see your own work, get inspired, and looking at it on a screen is a lot different than actually seeing it physically in front of your face. And also printing can be a challenge because you're actually spraying ink on paper or on canvas, and the technicians that do all of that might have to make adjustments to your image, like upping the sharpness, maybe contrast too, because there has been prints that have come back and it's like super flat. Maybe saturation, some of them are oversaturated, or like people's skin colors are really red. So that's why I encourage other fellow artists not to go to like Costco or to Walmart. Go to someone local where you can actually build a rapport. You can connect with them. You can show them saying, hey, the greens are way too green here. I like them more muted. And they will give you feedback. Well, your image is highly saturated, so maybe you should calm down on the images before. Now, I now go to the print lab, and Terry, if you're watching, shout out to you, man. I met him, and he gave me a consultation. Sit down, I actually showed him my images, and we talked about prints. We talked about printing on canvas. He could tell me costs. There's also percentages off. So if you're printing a lot with a company, you can get those discounts because now you're part of their business, and they rely on you and you rely on them, and you're not just a one-time go-to print. So they can help you out in that. And their feedback is really great. I'll talk a little bit more about that because we get into like shipping and handling your images, not just printing, but there's framing and glass. And these are also go-to people to talk with. So I started printing with Island Blue first, and then I moved over to the print lab. And then I got started in a coffee shop where they had artists that were there for I think 2 weeks and turned over. So my very first coffee shop, actually it wasn't the first, but they had one wall, and it was just a white wall, and you can see all the little holes. So presentation was huge because the wall had tons of holes already on it, and you're gonna try and present your work, right? So I grabbed a measuring tape and a level, and I had quite a few pieces. I'll pull the image here up on the screen, but it was over the span of I don't know, 12 feet or something. And I had 3 big prints that worked together side by side. And then around it, I had some smaller images. So it took a long time hanging them up, being meticulous. And then the doors opened to the cafe and they started letting people in. And I was just finished hanging things up and putting the little tags with my website and the cost of the image. And someone says, amazing work, and thank you very much. So it's like, I'll buy 3 of them. And I said, sure, right, probably the 3 biggest ones. And he goes, yeah, actually, the 3 largest ones there in the middle. He says, actually, I want that 4th one, that other big one that's just up above. The only catch, though, is that you need to hang them up in my office. So it's great. I sold my 4 largest prints right then and there. I think part of it is that I, the artist, was actually there as well. So some cafes allow like once a week or one big day where you can be there and you can invite your friends and your family all to come in and take a look at your work. And it's kind of like a meet the artist day. And if they don't, you can talk to the managers maybe at the cafe and kind of arrange that. So you can kind of create your own open to your own gallery. And it's pretty fun. Another great thing that's useful about a coffee shop that has these turnovers, even though it can be a bit of a pain and you might not sell anything, but you can learn from the situation. You can talk to them about other artists, how often they sell, what their prices were, what sold prior to you coming in. Maybe pictures of sailboats and ocean scenery was like what everyone wanted. And that's great feedback in case you want to come back and sell to that community. So I encourage you to not only print your work, but go to a cafe and if you don't know which one, well, just pick one. They have sign-up lists if they're really busy, and some of them can be like 6 months or even a year long, like a waiting list. So put down your name. By then, you might have a collection that you can go ahead and hang up. The next was a coffee shop for long term. This is like if you see a new coffee shop coming up in your area, talk to them, and once you put your artwork up, you might be able to keep it up there for like 6 months, which I did with 2 or 3 cafes. I had one up for like a year and a half. It just never came down, and I could just send people who are following me on Instagram or Facebook and just say, hey, you want to take a look at some of my work? Check out this coffee shop. It has my work. And it's cool to be able to have a location that you can send people to, or you can do your reels or your TikToks, that sort of thing, saying, hey, got my art up here. And yeah, it kind of shows that you're serious with your art. You have something up for sale and people can go ahead and buy it. Especially around the holidays. People are looking for presents, and your art might be the best thing to go ahead and take off the wall and hang up in their house. Updating your website. So I said free before. Later on, I started paying, a yearly or monthly subscription. I got a domain name, and from there, I could actually have people write me and email me. But the e-commerce store was a huge weight off because people can go on there, take a look, click on them. They have drop-down menus for the size and type of print, and then however they select what they're interested in, the pricing will change. And then you can go to checkout, and then there's MasterCard, Visa, you could put all of that information in, and then even shipping. So I just started with simple shipping, where I can plug in how much it would cost for Canada and for the US. Anything that was outside of that, like the UK and stuff, I would have someone email me, and then I would have to give them a quote of what that would be. Because like for a rolled up tube like this, the print that goes inside might cost, $200 or $240 is what I might charge someone. Because this is hollow, that going through the plane or on the plane over to, say, Germany or something, that could cost like 200 some bucks. It could be a lot of money. So I will say for shipping, if you really must get into it, that's part of the, it is a big part of selling your work. I would say to talk to that local printing company that you print with and ask them about shipping your work for you. Because the print lab that I work with, Terry, I will send him a digital image. He'll print it, and then I can send him an address and say, hey, could you package this and ship it to this address? Of course, he's gonna charge me to package it all up and ship it, but he gets discounts for shipping as much as he does. And it might be far more valuable to me to have a third party go ahead and take care of all of that instead of me sitting here trying to make everything look really pretty and also spending time figuring out, okay, FedEx or Canada Post or all of these different logistics. I want to be a professional photographer and just take photos. Everything else I want someone else doing. And I think there would be an option for you if you had someone in your city or your town that could take care of that. So if you are going out to look for a company that can print for you, ask them about shipping for you. And I've even had them, at the print lab ship canvases that have frames and everything with them, and they put them in a crate and they ship them off. So if you have questions about shipping, just let the experts tell you what to do. Okay, did I talk about buying a printer? This printer, I got an Epson P800. The ink alone costs like $900. It's quite expensive. But it's paid for itself. I can't remember how much I paid for the printer, a couple grand. But then I got an attachment for the back so I could have a big roll paper on the back. Paper can be expensive. So it could be a couple bucks for just one sheet of like 11 by 17. The roll paper is quite nice because I think you get more bang for your buck. And I can print out to like 6 feet long, but the widest I can do is like 17 inches. So for all the smaller prints, instead of getting the print lab to do it, I do it myself. Now, Terry at the print lab is a wizard. He's a technician, he's an artist. He just knows what to do, what the inks will do. If there's any screw ups, he's always gonna make sure that he provides the best quality. So I now have to teach myself how to take my digital image and print it on paper to make it look like I want it to, that I see on the screen. And there's trials and errors with that. Printing on certain paper absorbs more of the ink, or if it's spraying on there, you might need to add more sharpening because it might soften your image. Then there's contrast. Some printers, and depending on what computer you're using, what you see on the screen might not be exactly what information it's telling the printer to print like. And some printers, like this Epson, could make decisions for you, like the best quality could be made by the printer. So the information that comes from the computer of my digital file, I print through Lightroom or Photoshop. I think it's Lightroom that I print with. And I make adjustments, and then you can ask your printer to make the best decision for that print to get the best quality. Or you can switch things and make decisions yourself. And printing, it's a whole other thing. I feel like if we want to just talk about printing and shipping your work, like whether it's through FedEx and stuff, that might be a whole other episode we can get into. But I think if you are printing a lot and they're smaller images, then maybe buying a printer is the next step for you. And I did this a few years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and it's paid for itself time and time again. So I feel like that's enough about the printer. And now galleries. I think I'm going to switch over into the field, actually showing you these locations, and then go from there. So let's head over. So right here, this is where I first put up, art inside a coffee shop. This used to actually be called Toast Cafe, and it was the first place where I got to know the owners. Of course, it's very busy here, so a lot of people are coming and going and grabbing coffee. It is a new business, but it's a perfect place to go ahead and hang up your wall art and have everyone from around the community take a look at it. And the great thing is that, wait until this car moves, people came to my store online. Okay, I'm gonna move across because it's really busy. It's so busy here.
Stand right at the edge there. Action.
Nice. Yeah, so it gets crazy busy here. There's traffic and people walking. this is also a great spot for bikers. So you might not always sell prints like at a coffee shop, like where they're gonna pick it up off the wall and take it with them. Some people are just commuting here, biking here, that sort of thing. But what they will do is look you up on their phones, or if you bring a laptop to the cafe, and they might buy one of your prints off your website. So when I added my prints in here, which was like over $4,000 worth of prints, I didn't sell any. I gave some to friends. We painted over some of them because they were canvas, but I had people take a look at my website. So I had a website built, and then I got excited, put up $4,000 worth of art. That was an investment that I never got back, but I learned a lot of things through it, how to present yourself, that sort of thing. So this right here is the Village Gallery, and right along in the front glass here is where I had some of my work actually presented. Here, I'm just gonna walk across over here. Maybe...
You stand right there.
Right here is good?
There.
Great.
And action.
So this is the Village Gallery. This is a gallery where I've placed some of my work. And to kind of get into some of these, it can be a bit tricky because it might be just all, sculptures as well as painting. They might not accept photography in their lineup, but here they did. And there's a few other photographers in here, and not only just like prints or canvas, but there's also art cards as well. So it's great. And just in the windows here is where I had some of my art presented, and they kind of circulate it, so it's a great spot to showcase your artwork. Now, they take, I think it's 50%. You work out a contract. Typically, it's around 50% of the sale goes to the artist, and then they keep 50%. So obviously they have to pay for the building as well as their own time selling your work. Now, right next to it, if Haley wants to zoom in, is a printing and image store called Island Blue. And in that store, you can actually buy frames, you can have your prints printed. They have an industrial or professional big printer. And if they can't do it at this one, since we're in a smaller town called Sydney, you can actually get it done downtown in Victoria. So there's where you can actually kind of build your own prints, put them into a frame, you can get it matted. They got a whole bunch of other things there that they'll do for you. Now, I've used Island Blue a few times, nothing bad against them, but I have my own pro print technician that I use, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, the Village Gallery. This is the first gallery, or one of the first galleries that I got my work put into a gallery, and I sold both in the store and online because they have an online store. So if you don't see it in there, some customers have gone online and they purchase it there. So let's head to another spot where you can sell your work as a photographer. And this is the Peninsula Gallery. It's still close to where I live, so it's really nice to be able to connect with local businesses. But this gallery doesn't really represent my work, but what they do have here is a kind of a framing specialist, and he does free consultation. So if a client wants to buy my work and they would like to have it framed, a lot of the times there's a lot of decisions that go into that. What type of framing, what matting. So I send them there. There's a great guy named Mitchell. He basically takes the print and he walks the client through all the different details, because you might have different colored walls, could be pink, blue, white walls, but even the furniture. And so he'll just kind of walk you through, like, all right, we'll go from modern to classical. Let's put a mat on there, double mats, colored mats, and then glass too. And we're just talking about prints, whereas you can also frame canvases as well, and he'll walk you through that as well. So one cool thing is that a client or a customer there showed them a magazine, and a couple of my prints were in that magazine, and he said, I like this, how do I get this print? Do you ever have him in that gallery? And the picture was my photo that I took in the Canadian Rockies, and he wanted a print, I think 10 feet long, 10 feet by 4 feet. And so I got contacted by the gallery there, and they said, hey, we got a customer who wants your image, and they want it blown up 10 feet wide. Having your images in a magazine can really help out for just the community taking a look at who else is local and your work, because I'm a local artist here and they wanted a local artist, and I have a picture that he really liked, and he went to a gallery. And so connecting with the gallery, even if you can't be in the gallery presenting your work, it's still good for them to know that you're an artist that's local, because that helped me sell that 10-foot print. Pretty cool. You know, everyone has a beginning, and hopefully I won't have an end for a while. But the beginning took a lot of trial and error, and I think that's important to know when you're spending, you know, thousands of dollars on prints to be hung up into a cafe or a gallery, hoping that your art is gonna sell. All right, we're back inside. So if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you aren't subscribed, think about subscribing. Let me know down in the comments, do you print? Do you sell your work? How do you sell your work? Are you using social media? Are you on Facebook? Let me know down below so that not only I can see what other people are doing, but those who are reading the comments can know what other people are doing as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.